You know that feeling, right? You're on a super important video call, and boom, your screen just freezes. Or maybe you're in a parking lot, it's pouring rain, and you're clicking your car's key fob over and over, and just nothing. It's maddening. Well, it turns out those little glitches are often more than just bad luck. They're symptoms of a huge, invisible problem that's happening all around us. So to get to the bottom of this, we're going to take a peek inside a really fascinating 10-part tutorial called Invisible Interference. Now, this thing is designed for all of us. You don't need to be a tech whiz to get it. It's all about understanding a problem that, as you'll see, can be anything from a minor daily annoyance to a really serious threat to public safety. And this isn't just random information. It comes from the experts at RFI Detectives and Virtualization Options, LLC. These are the folks who are really dedicated to pulling back the curtain on our incredibly crowded wireless world. So let's dive in and see what they've uncovered. All right, let's get right to the heart of it. What exactly is this invisible force that's causing all this trouble? Well, the technical term is radio frequency interference, or RFI for short. Now, I know that sounds complicated, but trust me, the core idea is actually super simple. Here it is in a nutshell. RFI is just what happens when way too many wireless signals try to use the same airspace at the same time. The result? The message your device is trying to send, whether it's unlocking your car or loading a web page, it just gets lost in the noise. It gets garbled, distorted, or sometimes blocked completely. Here's a fantastic way to picture it. Just imagine every single wireless device in your neighborhood trying to shout all at the same time on the exact same street corner. It would be total chaos, right? Nobody would hear anything. Well, that's a perfect analogy for what's happening in the airwaves. It's basically an invisible traffic jam. And to really wrap our heads around the impact of all this, let's take a little walkthrough of how this problem builds, starting right inside our own homes and then zooming out to the critical systems we all depend on. So, the full series kicks off with that big idea we just talked about, the invisible traffic jam. It's all about laying the groundwork, explaining the absolute basics of how these signals work, and why this congestion happens in the first place, all using examples of devices we use every single day. But listen, this isn't some theoretical, far-off problem. Let's bring it much closer to home. I'm talking about right inside your living room. Because that invisible traffic jam, oh yeah, it's definitely happening inside your house. This brings us to a fantastic question the series asks. Is your Wi-Fi under attack? But here's the twist. It's probably not from some distant hacker. It's from the other devices you own. It's kind of like that old horror movie trope, right? The call is coming from inside the house. I mean, think about it for a second. Your Wi-Fi router, baby monitors, the garage door opener, all those smart devices, wireless cameras, streaming sticks, how many of those do you have running right now? Every single one is competing for a clean signal. It's like a constant invisible battle for bandwidth happening right under your roof. Okay, so far we've talked about slow streaming and key fobs that don't work, annoying stuff. But here's where we turn a corner, because the crucial point is that RFI is so much more than just a simple annoyance. The stakes can get much, much higher. And this is the question that really shifts the whole conversation. What happens when the signals getting blocked aren't for your movie night, but for something you absolutely rely on for your safety? This is where it gets really serious, starting with home security. So many of us depend on wireless cameras, door sensors, smart locks, but they all share what this research calls a fundamental vulnerability. They need radio communication to work. If that signal gets blocked, they're effectively blind. And the problem, it just scales up dramatically from there. It's not just our homes. RFI can mess with vehicle safety systems, the communications our first responders use, aviation and shipping navigation, even financial systems, and the power grid. We're talking about the invisible connections that hold our entire modern world together. So you can see how this quickly goes from a personal tech problem to a massive collective challenge. This is something that affects all of us. And that leads to maybe the single most important idea in all this research. The airwaves aren't infinite. They are a shared public resource, kind of like our parks or our clean water. And right now, that resource is under an incredible amount of stress. So what do we do about a problem we can't even see? Well, like with any complex issue, the very first and honestly most powerful step we can take is just to become aware of it. And that's really the whole goal of the Invisible Interference series, to be that guide for all of us, to help us pull back the curtain, connect the dots, and finally start to understand this invisible world we depend on every single day. So I'll leave you with this final thought from the series. In a world that is now built from the ground up on all these invisible connections, what is our shared responsibility to help keep them clear? It's a big question, and to learn more, I really do recommend diving into the full tutorial.